I'm going to have a very good association for some of these senses to tissues directly in the brain. Tactile corpuscles, for example, the ones that we find in the skin, in end bulbs. And let that bring to mind exactly what you might think it might be. It's the same as tactile, like touch, for example, texture. Found, however, mucous membranes of lips and tongue. What sense?
Touch.
Taste. How many of you, for example, when you're eating, like to have different textures of food? Or, for example, don't eat a particular food because you don't like the texture. Yeah. Brian? Do you have a question?
Oh, no, I was just wasting my time.
Oh, like for me, I don't like Greek yogurt. No.
Onions and peppers.
That texture to it. Oh, I just yeah.
So like for me, I have acid reflux, and one thing that makes it act up is like, you know how subs sometimes can get soggy, that texture of the bread.
Yeah. And there are some people that just, they're just like, well, I just don't like that, and it's usually due to the texture. It could be the taste. Okay. Do what?
I felt that way in the beginning. I didn't like the texture of it.
The Greek yogurt?
Yogurt, good.
Yeah.
I started with food and
Well,
I can deal with anything that's slimy.
if you're going to have different stuff in it, yeah. But, they're like, oh, you can't have this eggplant, and they're like, well, try making a dip with it. Use the Hidden Valley Ranch dip or whatever, make a dip with it. It's like it's got this that kind of like just sticks on the tongue. Okay.
I ain't that way with persimmons. They make my mouth numb. I hate them.
The what?
Persimmons?
Oh, persimmons?
Ugh.
A bulbous corpuscle. This one, stuff like heavy touch, pressure, stretching of the skin, joint movements, proprioception. The lamellar corpuscles, all right, they're found with the bones, joint capsules, some viscera, and deep in the dermis for vibration. Periosteum of the bones. As I was driving into work this morning, one of the roads I can get on that takes me over to 95 is Route 30 up in Doswell, which right now everything's getting set up for the state fair, because the state fair starts tomorrow. So, vibration found, periosteum of the bones, joint capsules, some viscera deep in the dermis. I think about that because as I looked around and I was like, wow, you see this ride and that ride and this one up here and over here and all this sort of stuff. When a bit more get on them than a man in the moon. I'm not doing it at King's Dominion or Busch Gardens or anything like that either, okay? Because I have MAO inhibitors, a bunch, okay? I'm not doing that stuff that's going to take me up and take me down and flip me around and put me on my head and be fast and all this sort of stuff. Because when I get off of it, guess what my viscera are going to do? Yeah, can't handle it. Don't do it. All right? Good example. Now, as we look at these special senses, okay, in the body, the general senses that we have, that we've talked about, we had a pathway. We were able to go from the receptor that was somewhere out here in the skin, travel to the spinal cord, go up to the brain, integrate the information, and respond to it. Anytime information has to go to our central nervous system, which once again, brain, spinal cord, okay, we refer to it as a projection pathway. Do you guys remember how we talked about having the first, second, third order neurons, where we picked up, we had the stimulus, went to the spinal cord, went up to an area in my brain? What area in my diencephalon did it go to? My thalamus. Because my thalamus was the relay station. And then it was sent to an area of my cerebral cortex. And we had to respond to it. So do you remember first, second, third, and in a couple cases fourth, but the order of the neurons? Well, as we move into our special senses, okay, pain, even though being picked up under this general area of the body, that is because pain occurs everywhere. Just the brain doesn't have any receptors for it. Doesn't mean damage doesn't occur. It's just no receptor for it. Pain, we're going to find, is adaptive and necessary. This is getting picked up by the nociceptors. These receptors are very dense in our skin, mucous membranes. What areas of the body do mucous membranes line?
Stomach.
Stomach, nose, respiratory. They line any area of the body that opens to the exterior environment. So any part of the body that opens to the exterior of the body is lined by mucous membranes. Mucous membranes contain nociceptors. Well, ears, they're going to have, they're modified because that's going to be producing the cerumen, which is the wax of the ears, to keep things supple, but also at the same time, keep their, believe it or not, keep bugs out. Nociceptors are on almost every organ. Neither the brain nor the liver have nociceptors. They are in the meninges, which can affect headache pain. I don't understand headaches either. So I have them sometimes. When pain takes place, okay, something happens. You get injured. What's your first instinct to it?
Withdraw from the source.
Huh?
Withdraw from the source.
What's the source? Depending upon circumstances will determine when you first feel the pain. In a fight for your life, and you get shot, are you going to feel that pain at that moment? You're going to recognize it. The chances are different chemicals have been released, and the body is like, oh, those all this. It releases chemicals that are hundreds of times stronger than morphine, and you don't even recognize the pain until that danger is over. Then you're like, then you may have what should have been that first reaction, which in case of, something like that, the pain is probably very intense, probably very recognizable, and chances are very noticeable. Okay? So, depending upon the first recognition of it, your first recognition is usually a very fast pain because you might be looking and going, and then it's sort of like, okay, well, I got to get to the hospital, do whatever whatever's needed, and it kind of becomes more dull. All right? We're going to find, of course, our somatic pain, meaning pain of the body. But if my viscera have nociceptors, things can go wrong with my viscera. Is that correct? I mean, I can have something go wrong with my gallbladder and my pancreas and my stomach and my intestines, and I can have something go wrong with these viscera. They need a way to communicate that information to us. And they can. All right? They can communicate their pain, the visceral pain, to us. When we look at pain, the projection pathway, based upon what we find for the body, all right, all of this area out here, from the body, do you guys remember the pre and post central gyrus, that central sulcus that exists, and the gyri that are before and after it? It goes to the post gyrus, all right? Pain for our viscera goes to a different area. That pain goes to an area in my lateral. What part does that refer to of the brain? The sides. And do you remember in the shape of the brain, there was this huge sulcus on each side? Okay? That's where the pain from my organs has to go. Therefore, it can help me know something is wrong, and the viscera of the body, for the most